Welcome everyone to a regular town council meeting of the Mount Crested Butte Town Council. I'm calling the meeting to order at 6:04 PM. Tiffany, roll call, please.
Bobby,
Here.
Belita,
Here.
Bruce,
Here.
Steve,
Yeah.
Roman and Alec are absent, Mayor Kempen.
Yes. Next is correspondence. I don't see any in the packet. We did have a kind of relevant to our work session that we just had, some correspondence regarding STRs. If you haven't had a chance to look at that, please do. From Mr. Bartels.
And I was kind of hoping we could have gotten to it in the work session, but we didn't have time.
Yeah.
If you guys want to discuss it, let me know and I can put it on a future agenda or a work session.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Bartels, for this input. Next is approval of the agenda. You all have the agenda before you. Does anyone have any questions, comments, requested changes? Hearing none, next is public comment. Citizens may make comments on items not scheduled on the agenda. Per the Colorado Open Meetings Law, no council discussion or action will take place until a later date if necessary. You must sign in with the town clerk before speaking. Comments are limited to 3 minutes. Do we have anyone here in the audience for public comment? Is there anyone online for public comment? If you're online for public comment, please raise your hand or make some noise. All right, no public comment tonight. Next is the consent agenda, and on the consent agenda is approval of the January 6, 2026 regular town council meeting minutes. Also, Native Landscapes contract for services. And the third thing on the consent agenda is contract for services between the town of Mount Crested Butte and A1 Chip Seal Company and Rocky Mountain Pavement. Move to approve consent agenda.
Seconded.
We have a motion from Steve and a second from Belita to approve the consent agenda. Any further discussion?
Bruce,
Yes.
Steve,
Yep.
Bobby,
Yep.
Belita, yes, Mayor Kempen.
Yes. All right, next is Crested Butte Mountain Biking Association Annual Report. We have Executive Director Dave Oaks. Ox. I don't know why I said Oaks. Ox. I've known you a long time.
I say Oches.
Oxes.
Yeah, they're Oches this whole time.
I can tell it's a cold call. There is a family, there used to be a family in the Ohio Valley that there were the Ochises, they had like a really expensive bull. Like, oh, are you one of those Ochises? Like, no, but I like that bull. Tiffany, I'll point to you for the
Yep.
transition. That's cool.
Yep,
Good to go.
yep, good to go.
Great. Well, thank you all for having me. This is the 9th time doing this, so, that's something to say in and of itself, but, I guess the way I kind of want to kick this off or start this off this, time is, it's not going to change that much, it's like every time I get, doing these presentations and get to this point, and I love coming to visit with you guys, and we can get into some of that depth and the whole broken record thing too, but, it's not necessarily going to change that much. There's going to be new slides. I'll have new pretty pictures. We'll have new data and new good stuff, but the need's always going to be there. That need's always growing, and we'll get to that as we go. But just I appreciate the fact of having the opportunity to come and speak with you again. Even though I feel like I keep saying that all the time, it's like a broken record because I come here and get to thank you guys for your amazing support too. So we'll get to that. I am joined real quick by our president, Paul Mack. Some of you, or most of you probably know Paul. And then also on the television screen here is the Desperado, Leah Desposado, who works for Mount CB, which is also on our board. And that is her call name, Desperado. So if you want to go there.
See, that won't stick, I'm sure.
No? That one was too easy. So again, thank you for having us. What's that?
And you hate the Eagles.
And please, anything but the Eagles. So again, thank you for having us. It's our 9th season. Just to kick it off, this is one of my favorite slides. I actually don't know if I have shown you guys this slide. This has been a big part of our Colorado Parks and Wildlife presentation. I call it the buffalo. As you can see, it looks like a buffalo. It's basically a line. The yellow line is drawn around our drainage areas, if you will, and the trails and the areas that we do steward and tend to. It's not confined to just that, however, that is the basic area, and even what you're looking at there are basically the most prominent, most important trails. They're not the roads, they're not every trail, it's just the more common ones. So again, it's just a little outline of the area. What I like most about that slide is obviously looking at the bottom right, if you can see it, is the great state of the outline of Colorado, right? Look at the buffalo in Colorado. It's a massive area, right? It's 433 square miles. It's a massive area we tend to, you all know it, we don't have to say that over and over again and again. Gunnison County is what, we're down to 81% open space. It used to be 83 when I moved here, now it's 81, I guess. Anyway, still a massive amount of open space and area, and that is exactly what we tend to and what we do. So our partners are here in the right corner.
Sorry.
I'll get to those again. No, you're good. You'll keep me moving quicker, Tiffany, which is probably a good thing too. So I'll get to the partners later. This is our 2025 crew. So this year was our 9th season. Again, it's hard to believe it was 9 years ago. And we got this all kicked off. We started with a crew of 3. We're up to a crew of, at the height of the season this year, we were at 9. So we had 8 that were our full-time crew this year. We planned last year, the funding that requested actually from you and from our other grantees or grantors, sorry, we're the grantee, was for crews of 6. And then obviously, as you guys are all aware, when the springtime happened last year and DOGE kind of took effect and we saw those federal cuts and all that was happening to our federal agencies, we decided to step it up and kind of put on even 2 more. So we decided to go from a crew of 6 to 8, even though we budgeted for 6, we knew that there was a need and we went to 8 anyway. 5 of our crew are returning from last year, which is always one of the greatest joys for any administrator, any organization, right? It's having people that come back every year. Talk about seasoned pros. Grant on our far left, who's our operations manager, he's going on a 6th season. Jake also in the photo is going on his 6th season too. Grant, born and raised here, saw this place when Dispersed Camden was truly a thing. And what things were like back then, again, it's a crew that cares. Having 5 come back is massive. The other 3 we hired, and I'm super psyched to say the 2 in the middle, you can see in there, Sloan and Chloe, were the first times we've had ladies on for the full season. We did have Heather back in 2019. She worked kind of temporarily for the season. These gals lasted the entire crew season. They were there from mid-May all the way through October, and we're super psyched. It's the first time we had some ladies in the crew. The other gentleman that added or came on with this last year was Alex Kay. Those 3 came from the Forest Service and the BLM. So they were laid off during that springtime, the setbacks, cutoff, or cutbacks, layoffs, whatever you want to call them. And we were incredibly grateful to pick them up and put them on the crew. Immediately, they were experienced professional crew members. So that was huge to have them and their experience on there. So looking at all 8 of these were all 8 experienced, I call them professional trail crew and stewardship members. It's so grateful. In the bottom right, you can see the Charlie's Angels posed. None of them have seen Charlie's Angels, so that's a good thing too. But they kind of knew how to pose for it, so that was kind of cool. So next one, if you would, please. Thank you, Tiffany. So last year's also our returning BOC crews, right? We got Simba, you got the CBCC, and you got the BOC. We love acronyms. So the BOC was the backcountry outreach crew to add more than just the CBCC. And if you can recall, some of you might recall in 2017 and 2018, we did have the CBCC out on the weekends too. So we would spread the crews out over all 7 days. That was hard to manage. It was also hard to keep some of the fire and energy going in some of those crews for a full season of going 7 days a week. So we kind of stopped doing that. A portion of that was also because the store committee, if you also recall, tried to do a store corps for a while there. So we kind of backed off a little bit from this. Last year, obviously seeing the need and knowing that we needed even, as we always do, more boots on the ground, we brought the BOC. I don't want to say back, we started the BOC. So what they did last year, as well as this year, was 8 weeks, the 8 busiest weeks of the year, starting in June, going through August. They were out there Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, so 3 days a week. So technically, there are 24 sessions, if you will, of the BOC. All 3 of them also came back from last year. So awesome to have professionals, experienced individuals who know what they're talking about, know what they're doing, know the areas, know where to go, and know what to do to have the most impact. So just a couple of quick numbers from the BOC just this last year in 2025. They saw, and this is them standing at trailheads with a clicker, they hit the button, it's not everybody, they don't get everybody, they're busy, they also roam, but they saw 4,989 people. They reached 1,780. So those are actual conversations. Those are people who came up to the tent or they approached to help or give them information, whether that was camping, where to hike, how to do it, where the best flowers were, etc. In addition to that, what they do is they set up at trailheads. They did help park 100 cars, and that's literally people of like, hey, listen, it's getting crazy out here. Let me show you. There's the best place for you to go. Please don't park on these flowers. here's the best way for us to kind of stack these cars, and whether that's West Maroon, Judd Falls, Snodgrass, you name it. As you guys all know too, Snodgrass got crazy a couple weekends last year. I appreciate Mount CB marshals up there and writing tickets. That was awesome. So of the 24 times that they were out there last year, 15 of those weekends were on Mount CB locations, which is interesting how I think we've had the conversation before in this room of like, how many trails are really in Mount CB and what do we tend to that's in Mount CB specifically. The trailheads are the most important ones in terms of having the BOC out there. So between Snodgrass, Judd Falls, Rustler Gulch, and Gothic itself, those are the majority of our weekends. And honestly, we could be there all 3 days, every weekend of those 8. They could be in those locations. We know how important and how heavily impacted they are. So that's the BOC. Kind of getting to some of the trail work, and this is some of the stuff I keep talking about. You'll see these pictures every year. Sometimes they get prettier, they always change, they're different a little bit, but they're always going to be there. Trees, they don't stop falling. Whether it's just coming out of winter, big wind events, crazy weather we're having these days, they keep coming down. We're always going to have trees to cut. We can go to the next one too, Tiffany, please. All different variety of methods of how we do it, whether it's in the wilderness and we go out there with hand saws. You can see Mark here with one of our Katana Boy saws. Interesting, we'll get into some of the funds and that stuff later on. Mount CB funding, what we request of you and what we do with your money goes strictly to payroll. But on the bottom line, you can see it in our balance sheet later on too, stuff like these saws cost $252. They're incredible. They're called Katana Boys. They're amazing. But the crew can throw that on their back, jump on a bike or an e-bike, depending on the trail, or go out into the wilderness on foot and still cut trees without having chainsaws, doing the motorized stuff. So a lot of tools, a lot of toys. We love that stuff, but trees are a constant and it goes all year. I mean, I was getting calls in Europe, texting people like, hey, tree down in upper. Like, okay, we'll see if one of the guys is available, even though we're kind of winding down, we'll get out there and cut it. Trees are nonstop. Picture on the right is 403 and that big rut and that first right turn when you start the descent and stuff like that. So between 403 and 401, you can go to the next slide too, please. It's going to keep happening. We're always going to have trail work to do. There's always going to be impacts. There's always going to be water. There's always going to be Mother Nature to deal with. There's always going to be a need for trail work. Water is another one. I mean, we never know. We're starting off with a really weird winter so far. We'll see how things come out, what happens this spring. Last year in 2025 alone, we did 62 armoring projects. Armoring is, you could call it trail hardening, if you will, where we use rocks and local rocks and native features, if you will, to basically harden a trail surface to make it a better surface. A lot of times these guys can get crazy creative. Some of them love working with rocks and they do beautiful work. The tough part about doing some of that rock work is a lot of the rock work gets covered. And the bottom right is a beautiful picture. You can see that's the lower loop. That's where it kind of filters down. The upper lower filters and hits the lower. Look at that. Look at the drain. Look at the years of just washout. And again, water just coming in and eroding this trail. And the CBCC does not just do a massive grade reversal, which this picture does not necessarily show. That's what a drainage structure is a grade reversal or a reversal in the grade specifically to get water to go a different direction. We built 414 drainage structures last year. So these are the things that they're out there doing all the time. You don't always see them. Some people who are versed in trail work, it's like, hey, I saw the amazing, drainage work you did on Lupin Trail this weekend. A lot of times it gets covered up, but you can see it. We did a lot of native dirt harvesting. You can see the wheelbarrow in the picture there to come and fill in this completely eroded trail. So after we did the right work to get the water off, then we filled it back in. Hopefully it's a lot more sustainable feature for a highly used trail. Thank you. Dead Man Gulch is kind of just as a quick reference to all the trails that we work on. It's everything from motorized to non-motorized to wilderness trails to hiker horse trails, you name it. We work on everything. Dead Man Gulch is obviously a very important trail that is kind of on the Rosebud or the Dr. Park end, if you will, getting towards Spring Creek. Here's an area of the trail that was just washing out into the creek. And this was actually one of the Forest Service ones. It was like, hey, could you guys please go out there and do that? When we get calls from the Forest Service, Mount Crested View, any one of our partners, Land Trust, whoever it is, whenever we get that call, those are our priorities. We will go immediately drop what we're doing and say, hey, you got something you want us to go work on? We'll take care of that, put it right on the top of the list. So this is just a great project. Again, highly used motorized trail, highly used mechanized trail. It's falling into the creek. You can't see it in the pictures as much as that beautiful crib work the crew did with some amazing rock work that just gets covered up again, but it basically reinforced that entire wall there, stopped sedimentation from going into the creek, which is not necessarily a good thing for any water folks, as you know, too. So just a quick image of some motorized trails. And then of course, 401. We could work on 401 from top to bottom. By the time we get to the bottom, we can go back to the top and keep doing work on it. Part of that is the nature of just the way it does shed, the way it was designed and built. We've done a lot of improvements, including these switchbacks are reroutes from Simba and CBCC. We did these over the years because they were completely unsustainable. They still need work because it's steep. But again, we love going out there doing this work because it's something we are very proud of. And obviously it's a very important and highly used trail that does, and it will always need that continued maintenance. This is another one that I just appreciate what the crew's done with these. We started building these last year. We got one on 409. We did two on the dike last year. We did two this year. I think we have 3 to go. We call them raised turnpikes, but basically we take existing eroded areas and just washes, if you will, riparian areas that continually see either, streams, whether it's a spring or water table change or a big water runoff event from a storm. And instead of trying to always continue to polish this turd or impact a resource in a negative way, now we're building these raised turnpikes, which the crews love because they go harvest all these locals material. These are all downed aspens. They buck them, they skin them, we lay them down, we build the bridges, and you can see in the bottom right again, we completely cover it up. So it's beautiful work. It's beautiful handiwork to be honest too, with the rocks as well as the wood structures, and then it gets covered up. But either way, now between horses, hikers, bikers, rivers, they don't go into those troughs and hit that water and those impacts and those riparian areas at all. We just hover above them. Better experience for everybody, better impacts for the resource. So we love building these things. A quick reference here, but just between Simba and the CBCC. I know there's some questions on that. It still always kind of comes around, and it's all good. It's something we love to talk about or even bring up. But a big part of who we are and what we do is this community, and that's the way Simba's always been. Simba has always been about the volunteer community, doing trail work and helping the Forest Service, helping our partners out there, and doing a massive impact and benefit to our community and our massive trail network. So this Simba still is doing that. Simba runs the trail work days. Simba organizes the volunteers. Simba works with partners to identify these areas, like this is the Woods Walk. I'm sorry, this is Gunsight Bridge and Lower Loop, basically where it hits Gunsight Bridge. You can see at the top right there, the reroute we did to get it off that super steep fall line road that used to be there. This was a particular Wednesday last year in July. There were over 60 volunteers showed up. We were running out of food. It's getting kind of crazy some of these days. It's amazing what our community does. But to add to that, in terms of what Simba does in running these volunteer trail work days and doing these, kind of heavier maintenance projects, if you will, is the CBCC is really required to help run these days. When we get 60 people, whether it's National Trails Day and we have 150 people or these Wednesday work days, the CBCC is always there to guide and help instruct these different groups of volunteers, which is huge. We go out there first, we do some priority work, we do some identifying work, we try and build some visuals if we need to give an example. And then the CBCC helps foster all those volunteers that come out too. So having the CBCC is so incredibly, we're so grateful to have them for helping us be able to manage and put on these massive volunteer work days. In 2025, there were 7 work days, we had 502 attendees and did 2,178 hours of work. So again, no shortage of incredible work by this community and how much they care for trails. So just wanted to give it a little bit of explanation with CBCC and Simba and how they work. This is another great example. The Two Wolf Foundation is a Veterans Warriors Work Group. They're EMTs, veterans that have reached out to this group or work with this group. A lot of them are kind of PTSD or looking for camaraderie and partnership in these groups. And they reached out to us and wanted to do some trail work. And that's something, again, we love having partners come from different areas, learning about their mission and kind of integrating our groups. And here's the CBCC spent 2 days with them out on the new Irwin Trail that we built in August. This was in July, getting that trail started off. So again, having the CBCC to be able to implement, meet these groups and put on this kind of a collaborative show out there on the trails is an amazing thing in our backyard too. We're always super grateful to have CBCC to do that too. So here's the fun stuff. Steve and I, you love these pictures. And this year was different, a little bit different in a good way. What started off this year was mattresses. For some reason, we found 3 mattresses right off the bat. They're a disaster. Look at them. Here's Sloan trying to gather all the coils from the eroding mattress so we can weigh it. We try and be as accurate as we can with our weighing. So mattresses are weird. We only got 1 toilet this year, only 1. So that's a good thing, slightly down.
It's a nice one too.
It's a nice toilet. It had some wet wipes there and everything. It was, I think, still usable. Chloe, it was her first toilet. I found it a lot more exciting than she did. I was so proud of her. We still kind of talk about it, but I was proud of Chloe for finding her first toilet. And then in the bottom right, the really fun stuff. We love finding furniture, and there's always furniture out there. So there's the crew pulling out a chair somewhere up Reno area. That looks like carbon in the background. I don't know where that one was exactly. Either way, we got a good share this year. These continue to happen too, and this is some of the most disturbing stuff. It is slightly down, the human waste and the toilet paper. It was slightly down, but it just doesn't end, and it's crazy to us. We don't go walking through the woods looking for toilet paper. It's amazing how the crews, because of their experience, can get to a trailhead and say, I'll check out that corner, and I'm checking out that corner. And they come back and they're like, got a huge stash of toilet paper, might have some human waste. They're not looking that hard. It's not like people are going out of their way to really hide this. It's a problem. We'll talk about some of the numbers. It's gotten better, which is good, but it's just not gonna go away. Another thing that's very important for the CBCC and what we do is putting up signs. I'm sure you guys have seen these. That one's the hike horse only up on, I'm sorry, that one's up on Cement Creek. That was up at the access trail up to 409. They were having some issues up there. It is a hike and horse only trail. I'm sure you guys have seen our signs all over Snodgrass. We try and help out Chuck when he's in season doing his horse workout Fantasy Ranch, but we put up signs wherever we can to help spread information. They're custom signs that goes too. So we do a lot of sign work out there as well. Western Room bathroom is we love this. We've adopted this bathroom. We love it. Look at it. It's disgusting. It's also a beautiful bathroom and a beautiful place, right? In a place that has about parking for about 24 cars, and sometimes there's 60, 70, 80. It's crazy. So sometimes this is what the bathroom looks like. We go in the summer when the bathroom is open and we can access it, we go every Friday and every Monday. And we mix it up between the CBCC and the BOC. So the CBCC will go on Friday before the weekend starts. The BOC, I'm sorry, other way around. BOC will go on Friday before the weekend starts. CBCC goes on Monday. And this is what happens. We fill that thing with all 8 rolls of toilet paper. You can see all the trash in it. What people do is absolutely disgusting. Why they think these things are bathrooms, it's a horrible thing. If you guys are not aware of all the details of that Western Room bathroom, technically it's on the White River Ranger District. That Schofield Pass area and beyond is White River, not Gunnison National Forest. So we do have kind of an MOU between our ranger district and that ranger district to work on it together. At the same time, it's their bathroom. The community rallied around this bathroom, if you remember, 5 years ago, and everybody kind of donated in a great way, and we got this bathroom put in. But 3 years ago, it was gonna close because nobody could go and clean it. So as much as I've sworn, we'll always pick up poop, we'll always pick up toilet paper, I never wanted to do bathrooms because I didn't want to go to clean up a bathroom, and I would never ask a crew to go do it. But 2 years ago, 3 years ago now, it was, hey, this is gonna close if someone doesn't clean it. So it was like, all right, well, good. So Store came through with some funding for us last year, which was awesome. This previous season, White River came up with some money for us. They gave us $5,000, which was incredible for us to be able to go up there. It's usually a 4-hour task, but we kind of mix that in with going and obviously going and stewarding behind Paradise, up the Gothic drainage, going down Washington Gulch or Slate. But it's nonstop. We're always putting 9 rolls of toilet paper in. We're always cleaning it up. The crew has a joke about it. We all laugh. They wear zoot suits. Some of them don't, but it's kind of fun. You get to use a power washer, a battery powered power washer. It's a pretty good time, to be honest. And it's a nice place to go. So,
Really, you're not in any of these pictures, that's weird.
with that,
How fun is it?
I got a picture too, but my
You
wife
need to start taking one just to keep in here every year. It's terrific.
I got to. I could have thrown one in, Steve. My wife and I won Labor Day. I got a call like, hey, Dave, it's Labor Day was only Saturday, so Labor Day was still coming. And it was like, it's already, I just got down from Westmore, there's no toilet paper left. Missing, and we're like, oh, it's a beautiful night, the sun's setting, let's go do it. So we went up there, my wife and I went and cleaned it, which is like, not a bad way to spend a sunset.
Romantic.
Very.
She would have said the same thing. Big fast.
Good times. Here's one of my favorites from the year. Again, every year there's something. This year was a little bit different. So I honestly, I think we're in a better trend, and I'll get to that with some of the data and the numbers. But if you don't know where this is you pass Tent City, you're up Brush Creek, and you're about to make the right turn. West Brush comes in, and he meets Middle Brush, and you got that river crossing right there. There's sign. This guy drove past all the signs. No camping within 100 feet of water. Camping only in designated spots. Look where he pulled in. Look at his trash bag hanging off over the water. You know, I mean, people are biking by, going recreating by the next day. Like, the hell is this guy doing? And I went out there because the LEO, law enforcement officer, Mike Fuller, who's very responsive, he's in way over his head. He's got way too big of an area. He's like, Dave, I'm nowhere near it. So I'm like, sweet, I'll go. By the time I get out there, he was gone. But again, I mean, it just goes to show we could have an LEO, I think, in every drainage throughout the summer. I think it would pay itself. It's just not something we're gonna see, so. Here's the data that I like to show you guys every year, and one thing real quick to show in that middle picture up top there was hilarious. That's on Tony's Trail. If you're familiar with the very bottom of Tony's Trail as you're coming down, there's a nice little hip on the right side that's a nice booter. A couple of kids, God love them, decided to go out and fix that booter or work on it. They don't know what the heck they're doing. This is why you have professional trail crews. Look at the hole they dug. They dug the hole behind the jump.
Oh my God.
So all these Devo crews and I would add some older locals came down and know that that jump
Like a tiger trap.
it's rideable. I know of 2 broken collarbones from that.
No.
The only thing they missed is putting some sharpened sticks.
It's something. It looks like a torture trap,
Yeah.
right? So hilarious. Those are the things we take pride into. If someone calls and says, hey, you gotta get out there right away. And it's like, again, same thing. Mount CB calls, anybody calls in that regard of like, we will drop everything we're doing to get out there and obviously fix something like that. So it was a funny picture. The top bit of stats in the lighter green there are a 9-year. So now that we're getting up 9 years in, I'm starting to use average numbers instead of giving you every year the different numbers from that year, which we'll get to those too. But our 9-year average, if you will, of miles of trails worked on is 61.9 miles. So every trail club does this differently. We've tried to take a very conservative approach to that. If we go out there and build one of those drainage structures that might be 20, 25, 30 feet long, that's it. We put down 0.1 miles. So we're pretty conservative in our estimates for what we do for trail work. At the same time, we think we're rather accurate for the actual work that's done on the ground. 61.9 is our average over the last 9 years. Trees, 311, that's coming down. In the beginning, we were higher. Groups like the Goats and other folks have bought these cool saws and have these electric chainsaws and stuff like that now too. So a lot of people are cutting more trees as well. So our average is coming down, but we're still always out there cutting trees. Drainage structures, like I mentioned before, again, every year, massive numbers, but 373 is the average. And then the average trail armoring that we do is 478 feet. So those are, you see a beautiful stone walkway out there at Green Lake Trail, you name it, we've got them all over the place in the zone now too. That's what we call trail hardening, and we also call them backyard patios. Sometimes they're beautiful, they could be a backyard patio, but it's covered in dirt. So going down the lower list there too, so these are some 2025 stats. Last year we did build almost 3 miles of new trail. 2 miles of that was the new Lake Irwin Trail, the parallel trail from the Y up to the lake. And the other one was the Sideshow Trail, which is out there from Tent City up to West Brush, like if you're gonna ride Deer Creek and Teocalli Ridge. So those were 2 Riders Off the Road projects that we've been working on with the Forest Service through NEPA since 2017. That approval came through 3 years ago. We're implementing those trails. Trail decommissioning are user-created routes, non-system routes, unsustainable routes, reroutes that we do. So it's always a good statistic to have. It's not always about building new trail as much as it's also bringing stuff back to its natural existence and protecting resources. So here's some of the good numbers to take note. Last year was horrible for illegal camping, illegal fires, illegal fire rings, you name it. I think we did a good job last year. There was a lot of outreach and a lot of it was on social media, which is crazy. That's what it takes to get to people. And we saw the comments. They came back in on some of these websites. One of them is the worst Facebook site in the world. It's called Dispersed Camping Colorado. If you don't know it, please just get on it to see how horrible it is, because these people literally give you their GPS coordinates to the most unique, private, remote, and amazing spots in the state. What you used to have to earn is now just so easily accessible. Anyway, great conversations on there where people were like, literally some of the comments were, do not go to Crested Butte. There will not be sites. You will get a ticket. So I think it did work. I like to look at these numbers in that case. This year, illegal campsites were 24. There were 64 last year. Big difference, right? 64 and 24 of illegal sites that were created. 28 is the 9-year average. For illegal firings decommissioned, this year was 43. Last year was 103. And the 9-year average is 85. So technically that's a good trend. That's actually a good one. Let's hope that continues. Trash we collected, disgusting number, 2,654. It's down from 2024, but it's still double the previous 7-year average. So the last 2 years have seen double what we've been collecting for trash has completely doubled, right? I mean, it's disgusting. Slightly down, still not good.
What are the units on
Yeah.
that? Bags?
Pounds.
Pounds,
Pounds?
yep.
Okay.
Yes,
So a ton.
pounds, yes, yeah, ton of trash. We have a dumpster. I like it. Most people don't think a dumpster is as cool as I do. I think it's the greatest thing in the world. It's just, I feel like it's like a level of society that you've reached that you just always have a place to put trash. I'm sorry.
Where is that at?
It's at our cache.
Yeah.
So we collect all this stuff, we dispose of it probably with waste management, but it's just hilarious of like, we just never had a dumpster for a while, and now we do. Sorry, maybe that's just a personal thing. Small things in life. Last year was 8 unattended fires put out. This year we had 6, and that's not, there were, I don't know if you saw them, the fire crews were out, the LEOs were out. They put out a lot of unattended fires. So that is actually not a good trend. I'm glad we only got 6, down 2 from the previous year, but any unattended fire left out there is always incredibly, incredibly scary. Human waste piles and dog waste piles were exactly the same, 68, which is interesting, but down. So that's a good thing too. Last year was 103 human waste piles, so it's down. Still not a good number. The other great number, something that we love, and it's a metric that we love to talk about and show off to you here, is designated campsites cleaned and maintained. When the dispersed camping thing happened and went to designated camping, there was a lot of talk of who's going to do this, who's going to take care of this. If the Forest Service runs out of money, who's going to do it? We promised we always will. We still promise we always will. When we have support from groups and organizations and folks like yourselves, this is how we can continue to do those things. We will always. We installed them, we will always maintain those campsites. There's 208 of them, we touched them 1,728 times. It's a big part of what we do. Every Monday and Friday is the stewardship days where we go out with the grabbers and we literally go campsite to campsite, clean them up, fix signposts. We do a lot of work with moving rocks, we build new fences, we build new worm fences, buck and rail fences all the time. We're always working on designated camping. It'll always happen. It's a need that'll, again, it's not gonna go away. The reach there is combined between CVCC and BOC was 2,269 are the people that we actually touched. And you know what I mean by that, conversations we had, actual, instances of speaking with human beings. So a lot more impressions out there. That's that presence to us. We think it means a ton. People see them out there and they understand that these people care about their backyard, and they usually, they say thank you and they say nice things. But we see a lot of people out there and they see the CVCC. Some of the fun stuff, this year, again, the crews are collecting different things. I wanted to collect dental picks. They didn't pan out, which I was blown away because every time I go out there, I see dental picks. But anyway, they'll talk about the little plastic things that are always around the fire. 10 pallets, 3 camp chairs, 17 tennis balls, 9 dog toys, 39 tent stakes, 193 beer cans. I saw an Instagram post from our guys who do an amazing job on Instagram that it was over 200. So I got to check with those numbers. Anyway, 122 cigarettes, 1 toilet, and 23 times we cleaned and restocked the West Marin bathroom. So, more fun numbers. We do have we're up to 4 trucks now, and that ranges from this lovely, nice 2023 Ford Lightning that we have to a 2008 F-150 that I don't know how the heck it's hanging on, but it's the crew's favorite vehicle. It has broken down a couple times out there. Either way, we rely incredibly heavily on our vehicles. That's how we get out there and do what we do. There's 4 of them now. On our 2 big trucks, which I appreciate, we've got our biggest sponsors. And if you notice, Crested Butte is not on there. Now Crested Butte is on there. And these are all of our $20,000 and above dollar sponsors. So we just appreciate the fact that you guys have always been, since the beginning, at that level for us. And these are 2 of the different trucks, so we have these logos on there too. So again, something we're always grateful to have Mount Crested Butte as a logo on all that we're doing. To add to all the funding and who is all a part of the support that what makes up the CVCC, Mount Crested Butte there, again, here I am with the broken record stuff, telling you guys things 9 times. I always try and put Mount Crested Butte first. You are the first and what kicked off the CVCC. So it's something that does still incredibly mean a lot to us. But 1% for Open Space has been there since the beginning. National Forest Foundation, along with the Gunnison County Stewardship Fund, has been a huge supporter. Town of Crested Butte's on there. MetRec, we are on our 3rd year of our capital grants, or I'm sorry, operating grants that they started 3 years ago. If you recall, there was a big change with all the debrucing and the ballot initiatives, and we're on year 3 of $100,000 a year from MetRec. So you want to talk about game-changing money, game-changing budgeting, game-changing planning. We know we're getting that money. This is the 3rd year. It is enormous, and it means a lot to us. Something new that happened last year too was we do not necessarily get funding from the Ranger District. We have before, the Gunnison Ranger District. That's not in their wheelhouse. That's not what we're looking for. We are here to help them no matter what. But we did just sign a new 5-year MOU master agreement with the Forest Service, which is huge. A lot of that is just around the trust and the relationship we have with the Forest Service, where they can basically, we don't have to ask to do things, right? We've got a 43-year-old relationship with them, but at the same time, to have it in writing that does justify whatever we do when we do it is really pretty cool. So we're just grateful to have that. White River District, I mentioned, they have been helping us with some funding for the toilet up there, which is awesome. And Parks and Wildlife has been a massive, massive contributor the last 3 years too. We are hoping for $100,000 from CPW this year. I don't know if we're getting that just yet. It's very competitive. There was 2.5 million in ask with, I'm sorry, there was 8.5 million asked with 2.5 million pot. So we'll see what happens this year. We have scored very well. We've done very well. We've gotten that money in the past. If we don't get that $100,000 from them, we're gonna be in a completely different place. So that's just the kind of the way we operate. We don't know if we're getting that yet. And then the rest of the money that makes up the CBCC is the private donations and the community support we get, fundraising through Simba functions and our other opportunities, memberships, donations, etc. That's it for this right here. I would love to answer any questions. We could talk about some of the financials and numbers. I know those were requested and they were turned in again with this packet as well too. So if there's any questions with the P&L or a balance sheet, I'd love to cover those. If there's any questions about Simba and CBCC and how they work, where Mount CB funding goes, anything, we'd love to answer any questions.
Questions for Dave?
It seems like your ask has remained the same while the economy has dramatically shifted. Do you anticipate increasing your ask in the next year or two?
For Mount CB, no. No, and honestly, we appreciate, we're gonna talk about that next, right, a service agreement and having a contract and working with you guys. The fact that we have been a line item, we went to the grant process, which was completely understandable. We kind of figured that too with other people that were out there too, and having the opportunity to be, again, a line item or to be on your budget each year is, I can't tell you what it means to us, to our board, to this organization. And the fact that you do it and do it every year is what means the most to us. The fact that that logo is on that truck every year means the most to us too. And whether those numbers and things, they are going to change. We don't know what the future looks like. We don't know what's going to happen with federal funding and resources. Just having Mount CB's name on there means an incredible amount to us. And I think that partnership of having this community and the components of the community that help make the CBCC whole are what mean the most to us. We're asking the other groups for more money.
Sure. It just seems like there's an inevitability to that, the financial conversation. So, and as you see some federal opportunities dip and on and off, I just wondered if there was a need, like when I was looking at, for example, the numbers, you know, your designated campsite clean and maintained 1,728. Was there anything within the organization that stopped that from being 2,000, or would it be 100 bags of human waste? And is there a hurdle in the organization such as just the cap on payroll, for example? So, and I see that you reference livable or living wages. And I just wonder where at some point it would seem like the demand for additional execution of some of this stuff would be higher than the funding available. So,
Right, I appreciate you saying that and asking us too, Steve. We have had other opportunities, which has been a big part of why we continue to grow and adding more and doing what we're doing. CPW didn't have this grant 3 years ago. 9 years ago, when I came here completely out of budget cycle, just on a random board meeting, if you remember, or a council meeting, and asked you guys for money, nobody funded stewardship work. There was money, GOCO level, state level, you name it, CPW level for shovel-ready projects, which is always interesting to us. Think about, again, how vast of an area we have, and so do other areas in Colorado. Other trail groups have massive areas that they steward or, you know, they look after, but there's no money for stewardship out there. We are incredibly grateful for opportunities like MetRec, like CPW, that they have come along, and they've come along in the last 3 years. So I think this at the state level and on a bigger picture level, MFF included too, there has been more awareness around sustaining what's out there, not just building new, right? And we've had other opportunities. That's why we haven't asked you for anything.
Well, especially in the limited opportunity of new trails. I mean, the maintaining and stewardship is really gonna keep this beautiful thing we built beautiful. And adding more trails is something, there's a lot of opportunities we'd love to have, but that's not here right now.
It's true, and a lot of people also push back and say, hey, why are you asking for new trails? Why can't you maintain what you've got? We get to say that we do here. We have the crew, we have a trail crew.
Right.
And speaking to livable wages too, is, I mean, that's the thing is, some of these guys, you gotta love that from an administrative point of view. Looking at the budget each year, is like, you know, each year we keep giving this guy a raise and a raise and a raise, and at what point it's gonna be too much because he keeps coming back. It's a good problem to have, right? And at the same time, it is hard to live here, and we are trying to be at the forefront as an organization to make sure we can help sustain these cruise members and have them come back. So I think we've done a good job doing that and we've had them coming back. So we hope to keep that up as well.
Cool. That was one of the reasons I asked if it came down to something where, yeah, we're gonna roll 2 people short this year because our demands and economics aren't aligning. I would hope you would come and explain those problems and ask for more.
Will
To be
do.
honest, just like, you know.
Will do. Thank you.
And to, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna ask, a little, so this is more about finances, so if this is following the.
Oh, yeah, I'm just following up on what Steve's saying, I think that the conversation will be easier if you come back to us and we say, hey, we want 2% more this year than we had last year. And we get in that habit rather than, like, well, we haven't raised it for, well, 9 years now. Like, can we get 30 instead of 20? That's a big debate amongst us, but if you're like, yeah, we want $400 more this year than we got last year, that's pretty easy to do. And we can budget for that a lot easier, because we're just ratcheting it up slowly. Keeping up with inflation, making sure that those guys still have houses that they can afford, or semi-afford, as the case may be.
I appreciate that. Maybe it's something we could talk about with the service agreement too. As we budget each year, the last 2 years, we've done basically a 3% budget increase, just looking straight at inflation. So that's something we have planned for in our internal budgeting as well.
I was just gonna ask, I'm a little surprised that you don't break out your funding sources in your profit and loss sheet.
I'm glad you asked that. It's funny, that has also changed over the years. A lot of that is due to what's changed, not changed. Sorry, let me backtrack even further. 10 years ago, we started doing winter grooming. We had a winter grooming bank account because we had people that didn't want to give money to Simba if it went to winter grooming and stuff like that. We started that with the CBCC. We did break everything out. We had separate bank accounts. We are still technically a DBA for CBCC under Simba. However, the grants and the money and the support that we're getting now goes to Simba. So our bookkeeper is he's amazing. He's very by the books. The reason why you're not seeing him listed is because they didn't donate. They didn't give money to CBCC. It went to Simba. So the administrative level, Simba is administering those funds, and that's why that shows that. So you see that P&L strictly for the CBCC, it's showing $111,000 loss. We also love showing losses. I think they look great for a nonprofit when you're talking to people, pay for fundraising. At the same time, that does not include the 100,000 from MetRec. That does not include the 40,000 from GoCo, and does not include the 5,000 from 1% for open space. So right there, that's $145,000 that makes up for that loss. In addition to that, that CBCC P&L does not account for any administrative staffing. That is strictly for CBCC payroll, supplies, tools, fuel, boots on the ground, all the costs affiliated, workers' comp insurance, just for the CBCC, none of my time. And I feel like 25% of my time in a given year is focused on CBCC and CBCC administration, maybe more. But that's not included in those numbers either. Did that answer your question?
Yep.
Any other questions for Dave?
401 reroute. How's that coming along? And are you guys actively involved in that process currently?
Which one for 401 proper?
Wasn't the 400-foot reroute?
Snodgrass.
Oh, Snodgrass, sorry.
The Snodgrass. Yeah,
Yes.
please ask me a Snodgrass question, please. The whole discussion around what happened with Graham and Joe per se and the reroute, that whole thing?
Yeah, now on the petition and that kind of thing, is there any activity within your organization around that right now?
Very much so. We have been talking about it for 40 years, let alone every single time, and this is a great concept to understand. Every single time we put out a survey, every time, number one comment back is please fix Snodgrass. Please reroute Snodgrass. Please make Snodgrass not
seasonal.
what it is, not seasonal. Number one, every time, not CBD South, not Crested Butte to Gunnis, you name it. It is every single time Snodgrass. So it does mean a lot to us because we do feel like we want to represent our constituency. Our number one position, if you will, and it is so simple. I could pull up a map and it'll be even more simple just to look at it if we needed to go there. But the bottom line is, and this is not just a Simba priority or good practice. This is a Forest Service, a federal good practice, is removing trails from private property. We have done it 4 times in the last 11 years to massive success. 401, 403, Jed Frames up on the Washington Gold side. Middle Cement is a prime example of it. Took 10 years, but we finally did it. Got it off of private property onto public lands and it became a system route. That was all through NEPA. And what's my fourth? Sorry, I distracted myself.
Deer Creek.
And Deer Creek, yes, getting it off of Trampy property. And again, now here's a rancher. Trampy was like, for the love of God, get it off my property. Like, it'll be done this weekend. Snodgrass would be the same way. If the collaborative effort was there, like you really want to solve this, and it is a principle, it's a federal principle within the Forest Service, and I'm not speaking for them as much as it's just what is common practice is you do everything you can to remove a trail from private lands and put it onto public lands, because it eliminates the problems. I mean, the gray area, the unclarity around it all. It just makes it public land accessible. We understand that there are some very touchy components to it. We understand that there are neighbors here. We understand that these are ranchers. We understand, I don't like the argument they were here first. They weren't. The Utes were here first, and that's a different story. We're talking about an area that was a lot of lands that were homesteaded. We're talking about fences that are not on private property. They are on public lands. We're talking about signs that go up that say you can't be here on public lands. Those are not right. They're wrong. And it's easy, I think, to say, oh, that's just the way it's been for a long time. And we're not trying to ruffle feathers. We're not trying to disrupt anybody's operations as much as it's a simple principle to remove a trail from private lands onto public. And with Snodgrass, you can look at it on a map. It's very simple. There's two components to it, right? We got the west end where it goes all the way to the finish, if you will, which is on Allen property, would have to be rerouted. But there's the part in the middle where it goes into private and then back out onto public lands. That is very solvable. And I mean, in one weekend, if we ever got the word from the forest ranger that said, go do it, in one weekend, it would be done.
We'd have more volunteers show up for that than any.
Probably
in the last decade.
Everybody.
There'd be 500 people show up. For that.
Yeah. How long is that part?
Just the NEPA process traditionally, for those other reroutes that you've had to deal with, that, how long is that, usually a couple of years?
It depends. I mean, again, that's where it's so unique, again, going back to like a Gunnison Ranger District decision. If the forest ranger at the time is like, Dave, move it, or in this case, it's Dale's a ranger, so she could say, I'm giving you the permission with a categorical exclusion to go ahead and move it. I'm giving you written jurisdiction to reroute the trail. We have decided internally, it does not necessarily need to trigger the NEPA process. We've talked to whether the ologist or it's internal to say, it is in the best interest of the resource and the public lands to go ahead and do it. It's that simple. Or it is literally going to a full scientific, full NEPA process. So again, it depends on who's in charge and how they want to approach doing something like that. But it could be that simple. With Jed Frame up on 403, as you guys are aware of what's happening up on the Washington Gulf side, right? That same thing. The trail started on private property. And he was a good sport for a long time, and then it went too far. And what put it off for him was he moved a wooden picnic table onto his property to enjoy his view on his property. And somebody camped there that night and used that wooden table for firewood. And that's when he was like, that's it. It's over. Like, I can't police this anymore. I'm not doing it. And even the Forest Service was like, Simba, go, do it, get it off. And that's it. We spent that summer. We put in a line and alignment. We worked with the Ranger District. They approve it. One weekend. Done.
And it's a better trail.
And it's a way better trail. Yeah. Snodgrass is different in that it would change the character of the trail. And Nick and I had a good conversation about that too. People love Snodgrass for what it is. It would add a little difference to it. The reason why the trail does dip into private property and then come back out into public lands is, I call it the dike of Snodgrass. It's not a dike as in the dike trail, the geologic formation that's out there is the spine of igneous rock pushed up over time, as much as there's just a mean shoulder on Snodgrass that might as well be a dike because it's a formidable geographic feature. And that's why when the trail was created in the 80s following cow paths, that was the path of least resistance. And it worked out in a community in a time in the 80s when there was not as many people here, not as many impacts. The ranchers and the recreationists worked together and said, hey, yeah, you guys can keep it open for these times, but then we're going to close it, you know? So what's bothersome to us too, and there's a lot of detail here, is the trail is often closed. There's not active grazing operations going on. So it's a little bit frustrating to have something basically holding, I would say, the community hostage. I mean, in many ways, people are threatened, you can't go out there, you can't do this, and you can, there are public lands out there, you do have a right to be there, and there is proper access to them, but signs go up, comments go out, things go out on social media saying you can't recreate anywhere up on Snodgrass. That is not factual information.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Thanks, Dave.
Thank you.
Thanks for all the work you guys do. Super appreciative of it. It makes such a difference. It helps me cope when I'm out there and I see the awful thing. I just, in the back of my mind, I think, oh, hopefully one of the conservation corps. Maybe not this exact person parking on the flowers, but I know you guys are out there, working on those issues. And so it's probably kept me from getting in a fist fight or two out there. So I really, really appreciate it.
Thank you. And I can speak for them too. They're proud of the work they do. And we are, as a board, we love our CBCC. It means a lot to us. And again, the support that you have shown us since the very beginning, I can't say it enough. How grateful we are.
Right on. Thanks.
Okay, service agreement too?
Yep.
Sure. Why not? So next is contract for services. And for the Crestview Mountain Biking Association, as Dave mentioned. So you all have that in your packet. Does anybody have any questions on the agreements?
Nick, I have one. I realize we probably used this agreement for a number of years.
No, right?
No, new one. Okay, perfect.
Yes, well, I'm sorry, we've never had one.
Oh, okay, right.
Never, yes.
Fair enough. There's just one question I have in a request. It contains an assumption of risk provision, which I get it, it's the woods, you know, there's stuff when you hire someone to work on your house, there's sort of an understanding that the house is gonna be relatively safe to work on. You pay people to do things in the woods, it's the woods. Right now, I think it might be inadvertently, and it says that you assume the risk of stuff happening out there unless it's due to the town's negligence. But as written, it says that assumption is, quote, while on the town's premises. And I assume from the scope of work that sometimes it'll be on town land and sometimes, in fact, often it will not. So I would prefer that phrase come out, so that the assumption of the risk is the risk of being out in the woods, especially when it's not on town land where we have even less control.
Certainly.
That's the only change I would ask for. And I think it wasn't an intentional, hey, let's, do this. I think it's just some language that works most of the time when you're contracting with someone to work on your land.
Mhm.
But in this particular case, the nature of the scope of work and what you do and always have, you don't pay attention to that boundary. That'd be silly, you've got work across that boundary.
No, that makes perfect sense. And again, we often work on easements, so it might even be a town of Mount Preston portion of land, but the easement's owned by the land trust. So there's
Yeah,
a lot of gray area
Yeah.
there.
fair enough.
So Jerry, what do you want moved?
It'd be remove the words while on the town's premises in paragraph 7. So it'd just be an assumption of risk, because there's risks out there. Which I know you're well aware of and embrace.
We dress for it.
Yeah, I know. That's all I've got. Thank you.
Thank you.
When you get around to a motion.
This agreement did go under legal review, just so you know.
Yeah.
That's one little thing we just missed, yeah.
Yeah, and anytime you have a second set of eyeballs.
Yeah.
And I try not to go, okay, well, I'm just I don't invent things to add, but in a second set of eyeballs, sometimes you find things.
So yeah, appreciate it.
Yeah.
I don't know if you want to add, I mean, that would be up to you guys too. I appreciate having that conversation too of the potential compensation amount maybe being subject to review every year or something like that. I don't think that's in there per se. If that needed to be added, we'd be glad to add that too, or.
Yeah, I kind of, once Bruce brought up the percentage component or some tied inflation or something else, that makes sense to have it in there, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think it's either way, but like by definition, we review it annually anyway, but sure.
But I was also in my head at 30K without any sort of math equation.
Oh, man, now we're just throwing out numbers.
Well, no, that's why I'm saying, I think yours is a more responsible approach.
It's been 9
Wrapped
years,
in.
if we had compounded that, we'd probably be at more than 30K at this point, and.
And it has.
It's hard to swallow that right now, but if we had done it every year over 9 years, we wouldn't be thinking twice about
It's been 25 before. It's been 20, 25. It's back to 20.
Yeah.
Just throwing it out there for.
And again, we do review this every year. Even if we put it in here, it's still subject to review by council and constrained by our budget. So again,
It is.
it's kind of 6 of one, half dozen of the other. out of
It is, let's remember, you've got Tabor too, so you can't agree to a new amount in a future year. It's subject to appropriations anyhow. You could add to the compensation section, paragraph 3, right now, which is right now the 20,000. Pardon me, you could add a sentence, the town agrees to annual review the compensation amount, and that doesn't bind you to that. But it triggers what I think Bruce was wanting, which is, let's always kind of have it on the radar screen automatically to look at every year.
it. I mean, honestly, I think what I really want is just for you to ask for a little bit more every year.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm like super comfy with that, I haven't been, and now I'm disappointed, I didn't even remember when we reduced it to 20 from 25. And
We bumped it, well, I say we, I wasn't here yet, but I thought it got bumped up to 25 because of the COVID or something, and then it later.
What was the
reverted
20?
Back to 20?
Was the 25 when you added the 2 people? Did the extra 5 come?
No, it was 4 or 5 years ago, starting out the history of it.
That'd be
Yeah,
good.
it wasn't within the last
Yeah.
couple of years.
Yeah, might have been COVID.
Well,
The law enforcement was a separate.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
okay, well,
through store.
anybody have a problem with Jerry adding that in that sentence he mentioned?
That we will review the funding amount every year.
Yes.
Yeah, that's fine.
That makes sense.
Okay.
And Dave, for your information, make that ask prior to October.
Yes.
Budgeting.
Yes, before budgeting, yes.
Just a reminder of the great work you do, in like last week in September helps.
Right on, right on.
That's a great time.
Great guy.
All right, I move to approve a professional services agreement with Crested Butte Mountain Biking Association with the edits discussed. Good.
Seconded.
A motion from myself and a second from Belita to approve professional services agreement with the Crested Butte Mountain Biking Association, again with the edits mentioned. Any further discussion? Tiffany?
Bruce,
Yes.
Steve.
Yep.
Bobby.
Yes.
Lolita.
Yes.
Mayor Kimball.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks, fellas.
Thanks.
I'll get you a first one to sign.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you all very much. Yeah.
Appreciate everybody here. All right, does anybody need a break? We're about to do a public hearing. Does anybody need a minute? Very good. All right. All right, so next is a public hearing. So today is Tuesday, January 20th, and the time is 7:02 PM. This is a public hearing on ordinance 30, series 2025, an ordinance of the town council of the town of Mount Crested Butte, Colorado, approving a cable franchise agreement renewal between Spectrum Pacific West LLC, an indirect subsidiary of Charters Communication Incorporated, and the town of Mount Crested Butte. We're holding this public hearing in person and via Zoom. The following members of the Mount Crested Butte Town Council are in attendance: Bobby Spera, Lolita Scribner, Bruce Nation, Steve Morris, and myself, Nicholas Kempen. We're also joined by Town Clerk Tiffany O'Connell, Town Manager Carlos Villado, Legal Counsel Jerry Dahl,
John Lee is on Zoom.
and John Lee is on Zoom. All right, so we're here to receive public comment regarding ordinance 30, series 2025, as mentioned. And so Tiffany, was this public hearing properly noticed?
Yes, it was published in the Crested Butte News on December 22nd, I'm sorry, 26th, 2025.
All right. And I don't see any written comments. Is there anything we're missing?
Nope.
So no written comment. So next is staff project introduction. Who's gonna do that for us?
I think I can do it. Jeff would otherwise be doing it, but he's out sick tonight. This is just second reading for the renewal of our franchise agreement with Charter Communications. Jeff, John, and Nick and me on the side. Been working on this for several months now. This is second reading. I think the franchise agreement is straightforward. So the only other additional, and the staff report, I think is very thorough. The only just thing I'll add is the public hearing component of it. We decided to hold a public hearing here at second reading because state statute for franchise agreements requires a public hearing. Whether we really needed to have one in this case was debatable because we're treating this really as a renewal and not a new franchise agreement. But I think we mutually agreed, the council mutually agreed that just to be on the safe side, let's hold the public hearing. So that's why we're holding a public hearing here. But the franchise agreement itself, I think we went over at first reading, and I think the staff report does a thorough job of explaining it. So that's all I have to add.
All right.
Hopefully there are no questions.
Well,
Or John can answer.
next is presentation from Charter if desired. So Mr. Lee, do you have anything you'd like to say?
Mayor, trustees, no, I think we're good. We covered it, I think, thoroughly back on December 16th when we were together. And again, I just want to reiterate my appreciation for Carlos and Jeffrey and Nick on all the good work to pull this together. It's been like I said then, it's been a pleasure to work with everybody. It's been good work and I think very efficient and time well spent.
All right, thank you. Next is public comment. So I'm opening public comment. Anyone wishing to comment for or against may step up to the podium or raise your hand on Zoom. After you do that, please state your name, make your comment, and sign the sign-in sheet for the record. There's a time limit of 3 minutes per speaker. Is there anyone here for public comment? Is there anyone online for public comment? Not seeing anyone for public comment. Does the council have any questions concerning this charter agreement? Franchise agreement, excuse me.
With Charter.
With charter.
Charter and Spectrum, the same people now?
Subsidiary.
All right, now closing public comment at 7:06 PM. And I'm also closing the public testimony portion of the public hearing. And so the town council will discuss and entertain the motion.
Move to approve ordinance number 30, series 2025, second reading.
A motion from Steve and a second from Bobby to approve ordinance 30, series 2025, second reading. Any further discussion?
Steve,
Yes.
Bobby,
Yes.
Belita,
Yes.
Bruce,
Yes.
Mayor Kempin.
Yes. All right, thank you. Next is ordinance 28, series 2025, an ordinance of the town council of the town of Mount Crested Butte, Colorado, amending sections 13 through 6, 13 through 7, or I'm sorry, 13-6, 13-7, and 13-10, and repealing and designating as reserved section 13-8 of the code of the town of Mount Crested Butte, Colorado, to eliminate references to the town treasurer, eliminate references to the police department training fund, and clarify those offenses subject to the town's penalty surcharge, eliminate the additional surcharge specific to alcohol related offenses, and establish the town prosecutor's hourly rate as the administrative fee assessed for deferred judgments and prosecutions. Second reading, and looks like we have Kirsten and Jerry in this one.
And the title of the ordinance is a really good description of what it is.
Yeah.
So I don't have anything to add.
Yeah, same. I was kind of feeling like I would just end up reading the title, so I don't know if there's any questions.
All right, thanks, Kirsten.
Move to approve ordinance. Oh, we don't have the number in here.
28.
28, series 2025, second reading.
Seconded.
So a motion from Bruce and a second from Belita to approve ordinance 28, series 2025, second reading. Any further discussion? Tiffany?
Bobby,
Yes.
Belita,
Yes.
Bruce,
Yes.
Steve.
Yep.
Mayor Kimball.
Yes.
Do I need to motion that again for 29?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think so.
All right, I move to approve ordinance 29, series 2025, second reading.
Seconded.
We have a motion from Bruce and a second from Belita to approve ordinance 29, series 2025. Second reading. Any further discussion? Tiffany?
Belita,
Yes.
Bruce,
Yes.
Steve,
Yes.
Bobby,
Yes.
Mayor Kimball.
Yes. Next is ordinance 1, series 2026. First reading. Oh, yeah. Ordinance number 1, series 2026, I get it, it all makes sense. Ordinance number 1, series 2026, first reading. It's an ordinance of the town council of the town of Mount Crested Butte, Colorado, amending section 1-13 of the code of the town of Mount Crested Butte, Colorado, concerning the town's general penalty provision to comply with recent Colorado Supreme Court case law. First reading. Jerry?
Thank you. As noted, we need to comply with the Colorado Supreme Court decision just before Christmas, December 22nd.
Was that a Christmas gift?
It was a
municipal
Christmas-
law attorney. Is that what that was?
Christmas gift from the Colorado Supreme Court. I think they were trying to kind of clear things out so that they could go to Christmas. It arises from a shoplifting case in Aurora and one other case in, I think, Aurora. There was a conviction, that's fine, and for years, forever, the municipal court fine schedules in home rule cities have been what they are. And the Supreme Court said yes, but in this particular case, it's a conviction for an offense that has the identical conduct as a state offense. And the state penalties are different than your municipal penalties, and it needs to be the same. You can't have and in this particular case, the shoplifting defendant in Aurora was, fined, or the penalty was way below either of the maximums, either in the state or in the cities, but the Supreme Court said that doesn't matter. That your ordinance is consistent with state law because it criminalizes the exact same conduct. And if you're gonna do that, you have to adhere to the state maxims, which was frankly surprised everybody because we behaved as if we were able to run our own show in home rule cities forever. Just like you can have your own penalties for things that don't have a state equivalent. Fishing on ice or things like that never show up in state statutes, but things like assault and shoplifting and theft are also criminalized in the state. So that's fine, because of the Supreme Court, there's no appeal, and so we're stuck with that. So cities are running ordinances that are similar to this to reference the state statute that has these penalties and says if it's the identical conduct, then the state maximums apply. And that's what this ordinance does. There is a typo in it. You'll notice that the second page of the ordinance says 364 days because it needs to be just short of a year. And that needs to get picked up in section 1-13 where it still says 365. That's my short description. Everyone's adjusting their penalties. As a practical matter, it won't make any difference in municipal courts. Municipal court judges rarely, if ever, get up to even the state maximums, let alone the local maximum 2650 and up to 364 days in jail. But it doesn't matter because the defendant could say my conviction under your municipal ordinance needs to get overturned because of this. And that's what happened in Aurora. So we'll have to retry that case. As well, we've asked the municipal judge to enter a standing order for the municipal court to say, okay, I, the municipal judge, am not going to assess penalties for these kinds of offenses greater than state maximums. That might be enough, but we think it's important to embed this in the code as well.
That
So
was
that-
done as well.
And the judges entered the agree, so. So that's it. Happy to take questions.
Questions? Kind of a side note, do you think this is something the legislature would be interested in? It's interesting to me an assault on our home rule authority coming directly from the Colorado Supreme Court.
I'd love to say that in prior years, in prior decades, the legislature might have been more sympathetic, but lately, honestly, that gives me the chance to say that CML just issued a little newsletter on the upcoming legislative session, having to do with housing and land use again, and sort of taking the opposite view. Okay, ignore local land use regulations. If it's 5 acres and it's owned by a nonprofit or a charitable organization, then you've got to approve residential at a given density administratively, no hearing.
It's the newest version of the.
It's the newest version of the
Yeah.
YIGBY, yeah, it's YIGBY this year, exactly right. So on stuff like this, it's not land use and it might be a little different, but I doubt the legislature will decide that this is something that they'll pay attention to. So I think we're stuck with this. Again, in practice,
No, it doesn't matter
it
that much.
doesn't matter that much.
Other
It's
than-
just irritating, you
Yeah.
know, and I think the Supreme Court really kind of got it wrong on this one. Our Constitution gives us, home rule cities, the right to establish our municipal courts and enforce
Yeah.
those, local laws. It's a local law. The fact that it happens to be for identical conduct to a state law doesn't make it any the less a local law.
Agreed.
And there's not really that need for uniform statewide regulation. I would get that, the drinking age,
Sure.
right? The age to drive a car. But, shoplifting in Aurora is shoplifting in Aurora, and why should that be the same as for statewide? But nevertheless, it was a unanimous decision, one justice not participating. So it's what it is.
Thanks for that.
Yep.
I move to approve ordinance number 1, series 2026, an ordinance of the Town Council of Mount Crested View, Colorado, amending section 113 of the Code of the Town of Mount Crested View, Colorado, concerning the town's general penalty provision to comply with recent Colorado Supreme Court case law, first reading.
And if you add with the correction to
I,
360,
it's there.
it is on the second page, but
Oh,
did it get, I think the last line of the first page of the ordinance
oh,
should still say, it still says 365.
oh, I see
It
that.
needs to say.
Okay, with the
364.
correction on page 1, section 1, paragraph 113, changing 365 to 364 days.
Perfect.
We have a motion from Lita and a second from Bruce to approve ordinance 1, series 2026, first reading with the corrections that it's discussed. Any further discussion?
Steve,
Yes.
Bobby,
Yes.
Bruce,
Yes.
Belita,
Yes.
Mayor Campbell.
Yes. Thank you for that. Next is town manager's report and discussion items.
Few things to add. I did reach out, if you recall, in our last meeting, we assigned an appeals board for deed restrictions, basically a housing authority appeals board in the town. I was asked to reach out to the county to see if they would be willing to take that on in-house. Two key players are Melissa and Matthew. They had staggered vacations at the beginning of the year. Melissa was out of town the first part. I think Matthew's still out, due back, I think either this week or next week. They were gonna talk about it and get back to me. So I have reached out, but I have not heard a final decision. I will be out for vacation for the second meeting in February, so February 17th, I will not be here, just FYI. And then for Valita, Nicholas and Alec, cast is next week. I'll be reaching out to you in the next couple days just to figure out the logistics with that and how we can get there. Town CB is going, they want a carpool, so if going to the ski day or not, we can figure all that out. So just stay tuned next couple days and we'll figure that all out as well. Other than that, I can answer any questions.
Questions from Carlos? All right. Next is clerk's report. Tiffany.
The only additions is a reminder, your, town council retreat is February 5th, Thursday at Adaptive Sports Center and Hub. And will everyone in the room be in attendance at next meeting? Okay, great, thank you. That's all I have.
That's the second floor. Refreshments, food, breakfast, snacks, what should we plan for it?
All of the above. A big
Provide.
surprise lunch.
Yeah, some things to put us.
I was gonna provide lunch and get some small breakfast items, maybe some breakfast burritos and pastries, nothing real major for breakfast, but a little bit of stuff, just sampling.
Maybe you should do,
Coffee.
Steve, maybe you should run a show afterward.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna need to break up each section, right?
A little guitar interlude.
That'll go over big, I'm sure.
Anything else from Tiffany or for Tiffany? No. All right, next is department head reports and discussion items, and as per usual, I'm just gonna kind of lump all those together. Does anybody have questions or things they'd like to discuss about department head reports? Carlos, maybe looking at capital projects and it just said, one of it's Jeff's meetings, but it's Gothic rec path pipe reconstruction design and timeline. So is that the upper portion that's gonna get redone? Like by elevation? Is it for that part?
No, I don't believe so. I believe it's just up from the part that the other bridge section, I think. What we
The
did.
new part.
We call it the Babbling Brook. It's where the open creek runs through and it's kind of eroded and failing. We're exploring putting a culvert in and covering that underground. I believe that's what he's referring to there.
Okay.
So I believe that is further up the rec path, but still below snow mass.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Just above the work we did this past summer.
Okay. Right on.
I'll double check that, but I believe
No,
that's
that
what,
was just
I believe that's the project.
not a big deal. Yeah, curious. Does anybody else have questions on department head reports?
Be curious to see what the results of the dark sky measurements are. I wonder how that
We're pretty confident,
is.
but I don't, are they in yet?
How do they, who measures?
But I can ask.
Okay, I wonder how, it's just a matter of curiosity.
I think I know, but don't want to speculate.
Okay,
Who measures?
and how do they measure?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And they've been measuring while our Christmas lights were on.
after 10.
After 10, they're on.
That's right. All right, anything else on department?
So who, how, and when?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And next time warn me, I'll make sure that all my lights are off.
All right, next is town council reports and discussion items. Does anybody have a report or discussion item?
The Mountain Express meeting was actually canceled for the month due to low attendance and not much on the agenda, so there's just gonna be the monthly report of, the monthly service report that will be circulated. So,
And then similarly for RTA, it was canceled, so
Okay.
just for lack of subject matter.
Mhm.
So. All right, well, does anybody else have anything they wanted to do here at the end of the meeting?
I just have a motion I've been working on.
Yeah, you got a motion?
Yeah.
Something you've been thinking about, working on?
Yeah, I'd love to move to adjourn.
All right.
we should talk about that, we should deliberate.
Is
You
that
know, we're
first
just-
Talk about benefits, I'll be the devil's advocate.
So that's second.